This is just like a walking sim type game. Came out a long time ago, and I've had it in my backlog forever, and I just never hit play on it. And if I did, I don't remember ever hitting play on it. So I'm just gonna run through it real quick here. All right, this is Dear Esther. Let's see what it's all about.
Dear Esther, I've lost track of how long I've been here and how many visits I have made overall. Certainly the landmarks are now so familiar to me that I have to remind myself to actually see the forms and shapes in front of me. I could stumble blind across these rocks, the edges of these precipices, without fear of missing my step and plummeting down to sea. Besides, I've always considered that if one is to fall, it is critical to keep one's eyes firmly open.
Homie can't swim. That's what we've just learned. Auto flashlight, I like that. So this is just paint. Premium Plus. Splurge and fur, the Premium Plus paint, I see. So do we go up or do we go around? I say we go around first before we start climbing up to the lighthouse or whatever. Do we have to make it to the red light? Yeah, the beach is where I want to go. Speaking of walking sims, you've been highly considering playing Myst again. I've never beat Myst. My brain's not good enough for that. Didn't they just re-release that as well? Speaking of, there is an updated version of this game as well, but we're playing the original right now. There's also no sprint button for this game, so you just move at this pace the whole time.
At night, you can see the lights sometimes from a passing tanker or trawler. From up on the cliffs, they are mundane. But down here, they fugue into ambiguity. For instance, I cannot readily tell if they belong above or below the waves. The distinction now seems banal. Why not everything and all at once? There's nothing better to do here than indulge in contradictions whilst waiting for the fabric of life to unravel.
Waiting for the fabric of life to unravel. Dude, it's the Fibonacci sequence. The golden ratio, man. Everything is perfect. Yeah, it's not like frame by frame style. You can actually walk around, which
I
honestly...
found the ship's manifest,
Sorry, didn't
crumpled
mean...
and waterlogged
One
under a
second.
stash of paint cans. It tells me that along with this present cargo, there was a large quantity of antacid yogurt bound for the European market. It must have washed out to sea. God knows there are no longer gulls or goats here to eat it.
He said yogurt. So much yogurt. Might make it more difficult because you don't know where, like, the interactable areas are. Possibly. What are those, like? If it's here, you're okay. If it's here, you're fucked. Is that what that means? Alright, well. I suppose we now go up. We've gone as far as we can. That soundtrack better come back. I don't want to walk around in silence for the next hour. Who put that there, though? Who's out here investigating the golden ratio? This wind, it be whipping. I presume this leads to the same place as if I were to walk up on the other side. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that way would have led us to a dead end that we would have had to backtrack for.
Reading Donnelly by the weak afternoon sunlight. He landed on the south side of the island, followed the path to the bay and climbed the mount. He did not find the caves, and he did not chart the north side. I think this is why his understanding of the island is flawed, incomplete. He stood on the mount and only wondered momentarily how to descend. But then, he didn't have my reasons.
Who's Donnelly?
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boat, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Then what's what's it an infection of? If it's not only the flesh, the mind, the heart,
They were
the soul.
God-fearing people, those shepherds. There was no love in the relationship. Donnelly tells me that they had one Bible that was passed around in strict rotation. It was stolen by a visiting monk in 1776, 2 years before the island was abandoned altogether. In the interim, I wonder, did they assign chapter and verse to the stones and grasses, marking the geography with a superimposed significance that they could actually walk the Bible and inhabit its contradiction?
They got a Bible. Make sure you read your holy Bible, kids. Ooh, a shipwreck. Wonder who that's for. Earth Bible.
Dear Esther,
Not the Bible.
I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
Responsibility had made him
I find
old.
myself increasingly
Damn.
unable to find that point where the hermit ends and Paul and I begin. We are woven into a sodden blanket, stuffed into the bottom of a boat to stop the leak and hold back the ocean. My neck aches from staring up at the aerial. It mirrors the dull
This is what all
throb
the
in my
paint was
gut
for.
where I am sure I've begun to form another stone. In my dreams, it forms into a perfect representation of Lot's wife, head over her shoulder, staring along the motorway at the approaching traffic in a vacuum of fatalistic calm.
What was that? How did he say vacuum? I didn't pick up on it. Vacuum. 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 I'll have to go back and listen to it. I do like the peacefulness of this game. Minus that little startling paint
Still
can.
maintains he wasn't drunk, but tired. I can't make the judgment or the distinction anymore. I was drunk when I landed here, and tired too. I walked up the cliff path in near darkness and camped in the bay where the trawler lies beached. It was only at dawn that I saw the bothy and decided to make my temporary lodgings there. I was expecting just the aerial and a transmitter stashed in a weatherproof box somewhere on the mount. It had an air of uneasy permanence to it. Like all the other buildings here, erosion seems to have evaded it completely.
Erosion seemed to evade it completely. So that's all chemical, molecule mapping, chemical, what do they call it? Chemical mapping? Chemical formulas? What do they call it? Chemistry was always my weakest science. I hear somebody cutting grass, and I hope it's my neighbors up the street. Shit was getting unruly. Bunch of fucking rodents and shit in there, I'm sure. Uh-oh. I think this is a point of no return. Ah, we've made it to the end of this chapter.
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services. But although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
I want to go here before I go down and around. Oh, it sucked. You'd think someone would come here and clean all this up. Around the time, I assumed it would have been something you were good at. There's specific chemistry I'm good at. General chemistry? No way, no how. It's always been a toss-up between that and biology. Where I have the weakest understandings.
It's only at night that this place makes any sluggish effort at life. You can see the buoy and the aerial. I've been taking to sleeping through the day in an attempt to resurrect myself. I can feel the last days drawing upon me. There's no point now in continuation. There must be something new to find here. Some nook or some cranny that offers a perspective worth clinging to. I've burnt my bridges. I've sunk my boats and watched them go to water.
I wish I could just sleep to revive myself. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Doing cell diagrams? Yuck. Yuck. That's gross. All right, man says we got to look for some nooks and crannies here. What do you think they were cargoing? This was probably a shipment of pogs or something. Potentially Tamagotchis, I don't know. I walked from all the way up there. And by walk, I mean held W for a really long time.
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
Yep, there is the hole in the bottom of the boat. Did he? What does that even say? Can anybody read that? Neither did he. Something not drown? Not drink? Eat nor drink. Something did he not. Did he eat nor drink? Neither did he eat nor drink, maybe? New Tamagotchis that are more involved than all these iPad kids. I think that's the trick that is keeping them simple. The iPad kids have too many things. You keep the Tamagotchi simple and you just say, here, this is all you get. This is your stimulation. Have fun.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic. Your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
He said, when we met, I had little stones. Now you're dead and my stones have passed. Oh, look at that gin. Oh, that's a big hole. Look at that giant hole. I want to go in it. Got anything to say about this?
Is this what Paul saw through his windscreen? Not Lot's wife looking over her shoulder, but a scar in the hillside, falling away to black forever.
That music I'm hearing now sounds a little bit ominous. I'm gonna say that. Just gonna put that out there.
I've begun my ascent on the windless slope of the western side. The setting sun was an inflamed eye squeezing shut against the light shone in by the doctors. My neck is aching through constantly craning my head up to track the light of the aerial. I must look downwards, follow the path under the island to a new beginning.
"20 xenomorphs charge over the hill. Chasing a lone predator. Chasing space marines.
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either. When the oil lamps ran out, I didn't pick up a torch, but used the moonlight to read by. When I've pulled the last shreds of sense from it, I will throw Donnelly's book from the cliffs and perhaps myself with it. Maybe it will wash back up through the caves and erupt from the spring when the rain comes, making its return to the hermit's cave. Perhaps it will be back on the table when I wake. I think I may have thrown it into the sea several times before.
It's the book that never dies. What the fuck is a bothy? I think I'm in one. I think it's this. Like a shack, a hut of sorts. You know, a bothy. Also, I saw the screenshot. I haven't watched the trailer yet, but it was not Predator Badlands, but what is it? Killer of Killers or something is the other one. It looks like the Predator in that is wearing a cape made of xenomorph tails, which is super sick. I think we're going to go in there. I think that's where we're headed, into that cave. Can I see the lighthouse, or are we on the other side of the...
He left his body to the medical school and was duly opened out for a crowd of students 21 days after his passing. The report is included in my edition of his book. The syphilis had torn through his guts like a drunk driver, scrambling his organs like eggs on a plate. But enough definition remained for a cursory examination. And, as I suspected, they found clear evidence of kidney stones. He's likely to have spent the last years of his life in considerable pain. Perhaps this is the root of his laudanum habit. Although its use makes him an unreliable witness, I find myself increasingly drawn into his orbit.
Man, back in the 1800s...
They found Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. His fingernails were raw and bitten to the quick. They found the phosphorescent moss that grows in the caves deep under the nails. Whatever he'd been doing under the island when his strength began to fail is lost. He'd struggled halfway up the cliff again, perhaps in a delirium, perhaps trying to reach the bothy's fire before curling into a stone and expiring.
What I was saying was, in the 1800s, if this in amnesia were to be believed, everybody had a laudanum addiction.
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
Sure is. Oh. Is that like a light? Is that a hole, or is that some sort of other light? Uh-oh. I just wanted to take a peek. So am I playing the person who has read this letter? Am I the titular Esther?
Did Jakobsen crawl this far? Can I identify the scratches his nails ruined into the rocks? Am I following him cell for cell, inch for inch? Why did he turn back on himself and not carry through to the ascent?
Ooh, this is pretty. Oh no! My flashlight's broken. Watch your step now. Don't step in the puddles. Eaten or sacrificed? Both?
They'd stop the traffic back as far as the Sandford Junction and come up the hard shoulder like radio signals from another star. It took 21 minutes for them to arrive. I watched Paul time it to the second on his watch.
Is there like something in here? Okay, so when I leave this way, go up further. See, this is a really clever game that does that, where when you backtrack, you see something you don't see the other way. It's real popular in Skyrim and stuff. Just a clever way to make sure players are constantly going the right direction. All right, well, down we go again. Wait, this person can't swim. Oh, now you can swim? I don't know. Swimming at the beginning of the game would have been real convenient for them not dying immediately. But who am I to say? Oh, this would be so slippery. This would be great to throw a party in.
Don't be suspicious, 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 don't be suspicious.
Oh man, did I crouch down? This is getting real claustrophobic about it. I don't like it.
In my final dream, I sat at peace with Jakobsen and watched the moon over the Sandford Junction. Goats grazed on the hard shoulder. A world gone to weed and redemption.
He showed me his fever scars, and I mine. Between each shoulder, the nascency of flight.
What's this way? This way first. I do want to go to that beach. It looks like that might be Jakobsen. Or just rocks. Don't know what that is. But this is the end of the road. Where does the water even come from? Come on. I believe in you. Nope, that definitely is not a body. There's birds here. Or dinosaurs. Someone brought in the crystals from StarCraft. Is this actually a StarCraft story? I wonder if there was anything up that way.
You must construct additional pylons.
Maybe we should have checked down that cave, but I'm not worrying about it. I don't take old Esther here too long to go check that out. I'm not looking to spend all that time walking down there for nothing. More paint. Watch up here be the actual reason there's nothing. Or the actual dead end. Ahoo! Hello.
This is a drowned man's face, reflected in the moonlit waters. It can only be a dead shepherd who has come to drunk drive you home.
Behold, Damascus is what? Pagan? Whoa. Someone had a moment. I think they were onto something. Away from being a city. And it shall be a what? It shall be a what? A Puenis Neep, you know? It's pretty like I touched that much, I'll end up going blind. Yeah, they were, they had a strong gooning session down there for sure. It must be convenient again. Well, nowhere to go but down. What is that? Why is there a hospital bed here? Am I supposed to do something with the hospital bed? Do I take a nap on the hospital bed? Is that how we progress? Do I just stay going straight? Like, there's not really anything in the horizon to be like, yes, come this way. Oh, there we go. Just need to keep walking straight. Well, of course we're going to follow these lanterns, I think. Pretty good moon.
The moon over the Sanford Junction, headlights in your retinas. Donnelly drove a grey hatchback without a bottom. All the creatures of the tarmac rose to sing to him. All manner of symbols crudely scrawled across the cliff face of my unrest. My life reduced to an electrical diagram. All my gulls have taken flight. They will no longer roost on these outcrops. The lure of the moon over the Sanford Junction is too strong.
Oh, what the fuck is that? Is that a statue or a person?
I returned home with a pocket full of stolen ash. Half of it fell out of my coat and vanished into the car's upholstery. But the rest I carefully stowed away in a box I kept in a drawer by the side of my bed. It was never intended as a meaningful act, but over the years it became a kind of talisman. I'd sit still, quite still for hours, just holding the diminishing powder in my palm and noting its smoothness. In time, we will all be worn down into granules, washed into the sea and dispersed.
Like, I do wonder what that is. I don't think I can make sense of it. What totem do we have here? Car wreck?
There were chemical diagrams on the mug he gave me coffee in, sticky at the handle where his hands shook. He worked for a pharmaceutical company with an office based on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. He'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter, forming a strategic vision for the peddling of antacid yogurt to the European market. You could trace the connections with your finger, join the dots, and whole new compounds would be summoned into activity.
Maybe all this writing is just yogurt. Antacid yogurt.
From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
Now we're back on track. Like, where's the light? That is going to lead me to my bath. I guess we just looping around. Well, now where do I go? I'm stuck now. No. I literally can't get out. Fuck. No. I think I'm on the beacon. All right, let's try this again. On a sudden, a light from heaven shone around him, and he fell to the ground. Oh, wait, look at that on the wall, or on the cliff face there. That's what I was supposed to see by coming out here. Nothing out here? Well, fuck, what do I do? I haven't tried a barrel yet either. I suppose I could give it a shot. Unless I walk up that hill and get up there somehow. Maybe there is a way up there? I guess I do see some lights flickering. There must be a way to get up there. That's gotta be the answer. See, there's that statue up there, or that person standing. I don't know what that is. Is that just supposed to be like an apparition? Dude, I hope he doesn't throw a chicken jockey at me if that is Minecraft Steve. Oh. Check this out. I totally missed this. These stairs look like a perfectly feasible way to get up top here. I don't know, so far they're working.
When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they resuscitated him by hitting him in the chest with stones gathered by the roadside. He was lifeless for 21 minutes, certainly long enough for the oxygen levels in his brain to have decreased and caused hallucinations and delusions of transcendence. I'm running out of painkillers, and the moon has become almost unbearably bright.
Unbearably bright. What sirens doth be singing?
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
See, there wasn't a person up here, but there was a person up here, but there wasn't. Dun, dun, dun. The mystery continues. Wonder if that's like G-Man style. You can see him everywhere. He doesn't have a bottom. His boat doesn't have a bottom. His bottom is perfectly intact. come near something. And he...
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
No sight. Dude, look, another Buffy.
Returning to my car afterwards, hands still shaking, and a head split open by the impact. Goodbye to tearful aunts and traumatized uncles. Goodbye to the phenomenal. Goodbye to the tangible. Goodbye Wolverhampton. Goodbye Sanford. Goodbye Cromer. Goodbye Damascus. This cliff path is slippery in the dew. It is hard to climb with such an infection. I must carve out the bad flesh and sling it from the aerial. I must become infused with the very air.
Danger. I presume I'm authorized personnel. Damn, lots of stairs here.
I have dredged these waters for the bones of the hermit, for the traces of Donnelly, for any sign of Jakobsen's flock, for the empty bottle that would incriminate him. I have scoured this stretch of motorway 21 times, attempting to recreate his trajectory, the point when his heart stopped dead and all he saw was the moon over the Sanford Junction. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all, and it was not his fault. It was the converging lines that doomed him. This is not a recorded natural condition. The gulls do not fly so low over the motorway and cause him to swerve. The paint scored away from his car in lines like an infection, making directly for the heart.
Directly from the heart. We've made it to the tower.
We will leave twin vapor trails in the air, white lines etched into these rocks. Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an aerial, a beacon, that they will not forget you. You've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
Oh, shit. I'm a bird. Somehow. Why didn't we just fly there in the first place?
Come back.
Interesting. Is that it? No credits? Just ocean sounds? Okay then. Well, that was fun. It was a cool little game.